Okay, so I think you'll have to approve that. And so if everybody's got their art supplies, that's amazing. One thing you're really going to need is paper. And so we need like art supplies. This is how it's going to go. Art supplies to build our critics, but that's going to happen after some period of time. Okay, people messaging me, they can't get in. I'm sending them a list of art supplies instead of the link. Okay. All right. Sorry. I meant to have my partner here doing all the tech stuff, but he's not here. So yeah, we'll be making the main thing that I want you to get out of this workshop is something like this. At the end, I would like you to have a little representation of your critic. Me and I call him Czar Fuzzy Mouth. Can you guys see? Can you see him pretty good? No? Yes? Kind of? He's criticizing me because I didn't set up the lighting right. Anyway, this is Czar Fuzzy Mouth, and I made him a few weeks ago in preparation for this workshop. And I take him everywhere. I actually love to have him with me. And the great thing about having him with me is that he's not inside my head. He's right here in my hand. Have a conversation. It's amazing actually just to have a little representation of your critic. I think you're going to love it. I'm going to say things, we're going to talk about critics, we're going to pull things out of ourselves, but without all of that, if you had nothing else and just this little representation of your critic, I think that you will get a lot out of it. So that's my hope for you, is that you're going to wind up with a little thing like this. Mine's made out of a rock, and I just absolutely love him. I actually think he's really cute. Did I tell you that his name is Czar Fuzzy Mouth? He's got some string coming out of his mouth, and I have some Russian lineage. My ancestry is Russian, and so I made him a czar. Czar Fuzzy Mouth. All right. So let me tell you how this is going to go here today. Well, first, what I'd like to do, okay, some of you missed it, so let's do that one more time, the mean face. Even if your video isn't on. Arr, arr. Yes, great. And if you're too tired, you don't have to do it. You could just think mean face. But one thing we can all do is draw a picture of a mean face. So what I'd like you to do is on a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, on half of the paper, just very quickly. It's actually kind of difficult to draw a mean face. I'm not a very good drawing kind of artist, and it took me a few tries. Mine kept looking kind of sleepy or sad, and anyway, eventually I came up with this, but just make sure it's on one side of the paper. And I really look forward to seeing your mean-faced critic faces. This isn't the real critic. This is just a warm-up. Okay, let me get that down. And we're going to use this. How's everybody doing? You can, you can unmute yourself if you want. It's free for all here. Arr. Oh yeah, it's good to growl when you draw the critic. Growl of it. Arr. Hey, nice. Nice lawn, I see it. I like it. Great. Arr. All right, don't go too crazy on it. We're going to be sculpting. That'll be going crazy. Now it's just a little like a stick figure kind of mean guy, or woman if you have a female. Ooh, Carrie, wow, that's like artistic. What? And look, you already got your speech bubble. What does that speech bubble say? I can't see. It's too small. It says stupid. Yeah, that's I think that's a common one. Stupid. Sonia, nice, nice. Yeah, please hold them up when you got them done. Nice, nice. Molly, I see yours. Cool. That kind of looks like mine a little bit too with that wriggly mouth. Ooh, Sarah, wow. Look at that. Nice. Ooh, and Gary, I like it. Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, well, now let me tell you a little bit about the flow that of our evening here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the inner critic, what it is, where it comes from. Then I'm going to ask you some questions, and you'll be kind of doing some writing about, answering my questions. And then we're going to do the sculpting, and you're going to be making something kind of like this, a little inner critic. And while you're making the inner critics, I will be talking more about the inner critic. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah.
Mhm.
We're just going to do some stuff. I'm going to say some stuff. You're going to make some stuff. I'm going to talk. Something like that. All right. And so what the heck is the inner critic? Oh, and then we're going to have a little inner critic party slash brawl. And one of the most fun things that I've ever done is get a bunch of critics together and have them go at each other. It's just very relieving. Kamala, you've been in one of those experiences before, right? It is so fun to have critic on critic action. It's really fun. So that'll be, don't leave before then. You can leave after that. And then I'll also be giving away a promo code for my Pleasure Boot Camp. If anybody has been thinking about maybe doing Pleasure Boot Camp, I'll be giving a promo code for that later. So the inner critic, what the heck is it? It's an inner voice, or I like to say it's an internalized voice that puts us down, sabotages our dreams for ourselves, and makes us miserable, sometimes to the point of actually self-loathing. I like hurt in my heart when I say that, because I just feel like it's so unnecessary, and we just as humans have not figured this out. We just have not hacked our way out of this damage that happens to the nicest of people, to the most beautiful, angelic of people, is that we've inherited this inner critic from society. So the biggest problem with the whole inner critic thing is that it's silent, that it happens in the shadows, and people tend to not talk about it or understand the relationship. And I didn't really introduce myself, but my name is Amy Palatnik, and I'm a process worker and a bunch of other things. But the inner critic work is from process work. And hi, Sophia. Hi. And over the years, I came up with an identity for myself. I don't know if any of you guys have this, but it's kind of like, if I could just do this thing with my life, I'll feel like I lived a good life. And mine is, I have this kind of a superhero of I have an image of myself as a superhero. And where I live is up above the clouds, like way up there, when you're in a plane and you're like, oh my God, it's a whole other world up here. So I'm kind of up there somewhere, and I've got this humongously large sword, and I am doing battle with the cultural inner critic, with the inner critic of society. And I feel like that's what I want to do. That's why this is free tonight. Like, I don't care about getting paid for this. If I could just help people not have a critic, I'll feel like I did something good with my life. It's just so painful to me that we're to ourselves. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about that, how much I care about this and why I do this. So the great thing about the inner critic is that we can work with it, that once we know what it is and we start to play with it, we can change our relationship with it. Like I'm saying, I have actually a pretty good relationship with my inner critic, and especially since I've gotten Czar Fuzzy Mouth into physical form, we can understand the underlying message that it's been trying to communicate with us, and we can sometimes even harness its power and use it for us instead of against us. We can get it on our side. We can work together. It's an inner part of us. If it's part of us, if it's in us, we should be able to use it instead of just kind of constantly going downward with it. So Basically, when it's in the shadows and unknown and happening kind of in a silent way, it's doing damage. But when we bring it out into the light, uh, it's a whole new relationship. And then we can change that relationship. We actually in at that point in relationship with it, in conscious relationship with it. So this is how I see it. The inner critic is like a parasite. I think of it as a parasite that lives inside our brains kind of silently and secretly, and it masquerades as our identity, as our primary identity. And we can see this in the language that we use often that hints at the inner critic. When people say things like, I hate myself, I'm so mad at myself, I I'm putting myself down, I judge myself, I don't like myself. When we look at that language, I blank myself, I is the critic. I is the critical voice. And myself is the one that gets judged. I don't like myself. I, the critic, don't like myself over there. So the problem here is that we don't know enough about myself. We don't stand for myself. We don't think so much about myself other than that we're mad at it and we don't like it. So the question is, who is myself? And how can we build more relationship with myself? I don't know if this is landing here, but isn't it amazing that we identify more as the bully, more as the critic, than as the one who's getting criticized in that language structure? I hate myself. It's like we've been hypnotized into being the bully ourselves. So what I'd like you to do is draw a picture now. If you left some space on your page or on a different page, draw a little picture of myself. Who's myself? I don't like myself. I hate myself. I'm so mad at myself. And if you came in late, earlier we drew a picture of just a mean face. So on one side of your page, you'll have a mean face, or on one page and another page, however you want to do it. But we want to have one mean face and then one myself.
Can you repeat those instructions?
Yeah. So when we first came in, well, first thing that we did was make a mean face. So you got to do that growl, and and then we drew a picture of like a mean face. Just draw a mean face to represent kind of a critical voice, a critical aspect of our natures or of our. It's actually not our nature. That's the whole thing. It's not our nature. It's not a normal human thing to be self-critical. It's normal for us, but it's not in our actual nature. It's not in our essence. Myself is in our essence. So I know some of you are artists because I saw your pictures already, but you don't have to take a ton of time on this. Just like a little picture of myself. Aw. Yay, Gary's smiling. I like it. Myself is happy. Oh, Molly, yay. Yeah, great. Yes, myself is usually pretty sweet, aren't they? Ooh, Sonia. Oh, Carrie. I like your heart. Oh, Cindy, hi. Hi, little Cindy. And Patricia, I like, ooh, very fancy, kind of like fashiony. I like her dress. All right. So now if you want, you can, we're gonna do these questions. And now we've got I and we've got myself, and we kind of see that there's this relationship between I and myself, right? So as I ask you these questions, I want you to not worry too much about the answers being right, although your critic will probably be on top of you about that. But I just want to tell you that over time, this can clarify. So you might not know the answers right now if you haven't been thinking about this a lot lately. What we're trying to do is just massage the critic out of the blind spot, or maybe exorcise the critic out. So, what I'd like you to think about, and you can draw some speech bubbles coming out of the critic face, is what does it say to you? What are the main things your critic says to you? Some speech bubbles. And if you want, you can share these in the chat if you're welcome to. Somebody had that started. Oh, it was Carrie before in the, she already wrote stupid. Yeah, mine says stuff like that too. So, does that make sense to write? Yeah. Does everybody know? Do you already know the things your critic says to you? Is anybody confused? If anybody needs help, you can come on in. Okay. Are we ready? Does anybody need more time? I'll tell you that my main thing that my critic says is, you are squandering your potential. You are squandering your potential. That's what he likes to say. Yeah. So, um, now I want to say, whatever your critic says to you, what does it mean? What does it mean when it says what it says? And I'd like you to ask it to be a little more specific. So you might have some, like, ask it to get specific. What does it mean? What do you mean I'm squandering my potential? What do you mean I'm so stupid? Yeah, Kamala, thanks for that question. I would choose the one that seems like the main one. If one seems like the strongest or the one that bothers you the most. You're behind on everything. A fat failure. They're so mean, huh?
Mm-hmm.
They're so mean. So yeah, what does it mean? What does it mean by you're behind on everything? What does it mean by fat failure? What's its deeper message? See if you can get down a little deeper. Wow, Patricia, you're a non-stoppable researcher. You're beautiful, you're smart, but also you need to spend more time on yourself and not so much on your daughter. That's probably the nicest one in the house. Sounds like a pretty gentle critic. Not so bad. So, so maybe you can get it to be a little bit more specific. You are unorganized. Yeah, that's me too. Um, so another question is, when do you, there we go, too cluttered. There we go. Uh, when do you first remember hearing this voice? About how old do you think you were when you first heard this voice? And it doesn't have to be this the words that you chose, but just how old were you when you became aware of having that kind of inner critic thing going on? Maybe you have an early memory. I'm trying to remember for myself the answer to that question. Here's another one. You don't know what you're doing. Somebody's going to figure it out and you're going to be exposed. Yeah. How about me teaching this class right now? Yeah, totally. 3, 4, 5 years old. Yeah, I think that that's about when our critics come in. My belief is that when we get hurt, when we first get hurt socially or from our family, our first kind of social psychological ouch is when it happens. Oh, Cindy, yeah, you were supposed to save your family and you failed. You're supposed to save your family. Jeez. Yeah. Yeah. I think I have that one too, actually. Kamala, you have to do enough to earn your place on the planet. You have to earn your worthiness. Like you're not doing enough, huh? Yeah. 3, YWCAOLS. That sounds like code, Cindy. Do you want to say more about that? Does anybody else understand? YWCAOLS. Where are you, Cindy? Do you want to tell us what that means? Oh, I see your mouth moving, but oh, you're muted.
My guess is 3 years old and
Oh,
computer
three,
fills.
3. I thought it was something about like it happened at the YMCA or something like that.
Oh, is that now? Can you hear me?
Yes,
I'm
yeah,
talking.
yeah.
I can't read it very well. I tried to write when I was 4 years old, but
Mm-mm-mm. Got it. Got it.
okay.
Thanks. You're a failure because you didn't prevent your daughter from getting injured. Now she needs surgery and it's your fault. That's pretty mean. Now the critic's coming out. It's your fault. It's your fault. Okay, so now I have a question for you. Think about the critic's main message for you. And how do you feel about the message? If you come from the perspective of myself, identify for a moment as myself, and just think about the message itself. All these messages, do you agree with it? How does myself feel about it? Does myself agree or disagree? Calling bullshit. Agree and disagree at the same time. Sonia, do you want to say more about that?
Sorry, I'm not very well right now, but uh yeah, just when I think of my like wise, happy self inside, I'm all the critic stuff seems like bullshit. I'm calling bullshit.
Ah, you're calling
What I mean,
bullshit on the critic. Okay, I
uh,
got it.
yeah,
Nice, nice. Got it. Awesome. Yeah, bullshit, critic. Um, I can see it's bullshit for other people, but harder for myself. That's typically the way, right? Like everybody else is nobody else deserves a critic, only me. So somehow this has happened, it's just the strangest thing. One thing I didn't say, I'll probably say it a little bit later, but it's universal, actually. The founders of Voice Dialogue, which is a Jungian kind of parts psychology school, traveled around the world and found out that the inner critic is ubiquitous. It's in almost every culture. I bet it's not in tribal cultures, but in most developed cultures, um, we all have it. I'll turn that off. Okay, now I'd like for a minute for you to think of the perspective from the perspective of the critic. Pick one of the messages that it has for you and think of it from the perspective of the critic and reframe the phrase that the critic is using, the thing that it's saying, in a way that you can understand the critic's wish for you. What does the critic really want for you? So, for example, one of mine is you're squandering your potential, right? So if I get underneath that, what the critic really wants for me is for me to really live my potential, to really express my potential, and yeah, and be my whole self. So that's kind of, it's in there, even though I experience it as a criticism and a put down. There's a wish inside that is actually for me. So not all of them will be that way, but see if you can connect to what the critic really expects of you or wants for you. And you can also put that into the chat. It might be a phrase or a sentence that's something like, you should be more blah, 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 or you're better, or something like that. Overcome fear. Wow. Yeah. It wants you to overcome your fear. Mine too, actually. Yeah. Wants me to overcome my fear. Anybody else? Stop hiding. Be authentic, honest. Show up with what you actually do have to offer. Stop blaming yourself and others for bad things that happen. Wow. Yeah. So this starts to get kind of interesting. Here's this terribly mean voice inside of us that puts us down, that makes us feel bad. But underneath, there is actually sometimes a benevolent wish or hope or expectation. Is that landing for people? Yeah. Great. It's funny, I just went back to I have like you guys in a tiny little screen, and I was on the screen that had mostly just names, no faces. So I just went back to the screen that has the faces. It's good to see you guys. Okay, get to your best self. Right, right. So some kind of positive hopes. Yeah, Cindy, bring your voice in. Totally. Thanks for saying that. Yeah, you don't have to just use the chat. Just come on in.
Okay.
We're wild here. We're wild.
Well, I have a head start from working on this with Amy. But my critic, I can't get rid of this thing. That's okay. Yes, my critic wanted me to stay down and stay low and stay feeling bad about myself so that I would get hit less by my mom. And it worked. It really worked. So my critic told me I was bad and I ruined my mom's life, just everything she said. And that made me be real small and scared. And that suited my mom much better. And so she didn't spank me or hit me as much. And so in that way, my critic was very much of an ally. And when I make my critic, I'm going to make a really mad little kid underneath the critic, because the little kid was really mad. But the critic is saying, stay down, stay down. And I'm like, oh, that was a really good idea, because yeah, that's all.
It was protecting you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, right. Yeah. And then sometimes those voices hang on for a little too long, like it was maybe valuable when we're young, and then suddenly we're 50, 60, 70, and we're still playing small, and yeah. So sometimes that's the problem with the critic. And I think I will talk about this when you guys are doing your sculpture, but that like it often it doesn't evolve because we're not in an active relationship with it. It just kind of goes in like a program, almost like a contract, and then we don't have relationship with it. So it just kind of is like a one-trick pony. It just keeps saying the same thing that it said when we were 3 or 4, strangely. So that's why we want to update the relationship with the critic. We want to come up to the present moment with it. Okay, so
I just wanted to say, and this is Sophia, I really liked hearing Cindy's voice and hearing her talk. And I don't want to mess with your format, but it's really helping me hearing other people talking.
yes, beautiful. Yes, you're totally, this is like a kind of a free for all here. Like when we're dealing with critics, that's why I wanted us to make ugly faces at the beginning too. It's just, we're all so conditioned to be so nice, to show up at a Zoom call and do it the right way. And, I think we just need to like really like loosen up a lot, and just be ourselves and bring our authentic selves, because the critic is the one who says, don't just bring your voice in, or like, what will people think of you if you speak instead of type? And so we're really wanting to kind of loosen up that rigidity. So yes, Sophia, thank you for that invitation. And if anybody feels inspired to bring your voices in instead of chat, please do. Yeah. And I'll also say, like, today, the main goal for today is to get you guys to make your critic, but we can have a part 2 in the future where we dive deeper actually into kind of the critic relationship and how to improve it. Basically, today, I'm just going to tell you that you can, but we're not going to really work on the relationships with the critic. We just don't have the time for it, because I want you to make them. But we can do part
that's
2.
good, because this is Sophia again. I'm noticing a lot of like, what's the right, agitation inside. Like, my critic does not want to be confronted.
Right. Yeah, it probably doesn't want to be here at all. It doesn't want to be brought out of
Right.
the shadows, right? But when it gets out, it'll feel good. Like, but
Okay.
when it's inside, I can't even tell you. Okay, when I was preparing for this workshop, there would be times when I would just be like shuddering in fear, because when the critic is still in the shadows, like I was kind of projecting myself forward to being here with all of your critics, the unknown critics. And the unknown critics are like, they create anxiety. They're like, it's going to get us, And yeah, so it makes sense to have body symptoms around it. It makes sense to just feel a little edgy and shifty around it. So if you feel that in your body, that's why I want people to make faces and everything. Just let yourself kind of like let it out. Don't put on a mask to try to hide that critic, at least not right here and now. You can do it in the rest of your life if you want, but I want to invite you to like move with it and flow with it a little bit here tonight, because we're really like I'm saying, kind of massaging it out to the surface. Yeah, Kamala.
Yeah. I think mine is busy saying, I'm not sure you're really getting this. This probably isn't worth it. You're probably not going to get it. Like, you're not getting the right answer here.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah. They'll keep us from doing anything, pretty soon we're just like laying flat on the floor, poor myself, it's just like, forget it. I'm leaving. I'm not going to make anything. If I make something, you're going to yell at me. So it's, they can be really, really awful. And it's great that we're bringing it out, bringing the voices out. So thanks, Kamala, for giving voice to yours. So, okay, let's go back to our little dialogue with the critic, or our little kind of trying to understand its message. So in a lot of these cases that you guys shared, the critic had kind of a positive wish for you. But usually the problem with the critic is it's a delivery problem. It's like a bedside manners problem. It's got like terrible manners, right? It's just awfully mean. So if you have a positive wish for somebody, but you deliver it in a negative way, you're probably going to get negative results. And that's what kind of gets us stuck in this relationship with the inner critic. So one thing that we can do when we externalize the inner critic is give it some feedback about its meta skills. It's the way that it communicates. We can tell it, like, if you want this thing for me, if, like in Cindy's case, if you want me to be safe, thank you. That's really nice of you. I don't, it's not helping me the way that you're saying it. It's not helpful the way that you give me that message. So the question is, if you could ask the critic to change one thing about their delivery of this message, if you agree with the critic, if you kind of like what it's saying, or if it's of some benefit to you, the message, like with I'm squandering my potential, I'd much rather it say like, hey, let's work on your potential, instead of like the meanness of you're squandering your potential. Like, why don't we work to elevate your potential, or to activate your potential. So you can think about that. If you could ask the critic for one little shift in its delivery, what would you ask it to shift? And then I just want you to have a little fantasy about getting the critic on your side with all of that power that it has, all of that strength that it's had in putting you down. Imagine how powerful that critic is. If you were the actual critic, if you could feel its power and how intense it is, how strong it is, what if all that power were actually for you? We're actually moving you towards the dreams that you have. We're actually with you, helping you, all that power. Imagine you had all that power. And I really believe that we can. So,
I have to say that I I can't, I'm having a hard time seeing one little thing that
Mhm.
it could do, or even one big thing that it could do. I'm going to build it one out of paper, and I'm going to choke it and burn it to death.
Okay,
And
great.
then I'm going to build another one. Maybe I can talk to that one.
Okay, yeah, you could have a secondary critic. I mean, this is when I remember my teacher Ingrid saying, some critics just need to be killed. Like some critics, they're just never going to get on your side. You just have to actually murder it. So, say la vie. It's okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you can murder your critic. It's fine with me. Yeah. But maybe somehow as it dies, it's going to give you, bestow its essence on you. It's the power of its essence, and it can like leave with its messaging and leave you its essence. All right. So I think that we'll go ahead and shift into the making of the critic. And I would like you to, so if you've got some craft supplies around, we'll take some time and start the sculpture project. You're going to be giving your critic a name. It can be anything. It can be like Joe, or it can be something more specific like meanie face or jerk or whatever you want to call your critic. But is everybody has some stuff that they could do to start building a critic? Now, one thing I want to tell you is that you don't have to have an image in your mind of what your critic looks like, and then you're gonna like make that image. Just like get into kind of a dreamlike state. Just think about that kind of meanness and just make something that just looks a little mean. I don't think that my critic really looks like this. I don't think it really has a body or a face or anything like that. But it doesn't even matter what it looks like, you know. You just as you should like it, actually. That's what I kept going with mine when I made it. I just kept going until I was like, I like that. That looks like a good critic. Not like I'm in love with it, like, so beautiful, but that it just felt good to me. It felt complete. So, yeah. And if you have, I really recommend, if you're into kind of little crafty projects like I am, getting a glue gun, because you can go so far. If you have a glue gun, you can make so much stuff. It's so fun. You can glue almost anything together. All right. So we'll have some more questions after. I have some more questions for you after, when your critics are made. I'll talk a little bit now. Is that okay if I talk a little bit while you guys make your critics? Yeah. And you can just kind of listen. So, Kamala, I don't know if you're still there, but it doesn't matter if you hear me or not. It could just kind of wash, and you'll get the recordings of the recording, so you could listen to this some other time. So one thing I want to say about the inner critic is that it's really not our nature. It's really not our essence. It really is internalized from the outside. It's absorbed and it's learned. Animals don't have inner critics. They just exist. And I really feel like the inner critic comes from religion, from Judeo-Christian, God-fearing people who passed on shame and this belief that we are sinners and that there's something wrong with us. Even if you don't consider yourself a religious person, which I wouldn't consider myself religious, even though I have a Jewish lineage, we absorb it from our culture. It's just everywhere.
I don't know. I think my cat could be pretty judgmental.
Really? I know.
Yeah, I'd often feel like he was just standing there judging me.
Uh-huh.
So
Do you think that he judged himself?
no, he was beyond reproach.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Well, I think that animals can get alpha with each other, they can be dominant, but I don't think that they experience shame. I don't think that they feel like they're bad, that their essences are bad, that they're sinners, that there's something wrong with them. They don't dislike themselves.
Right.
Uniquely human, it's learned, it's inherited. And my theory, here's something from Wendy. Strict Catholic family. I wanted to be a nun when I was little. Wow, Wendy. My theory is that what happens is that we get hurt when we're young, and it hurts so badly to get hurt from the outside by another person that we bring that voice inside, and we do it to ourselves, kind of like putting ourselves through training, like we're toughening ourselves up by doing it to ourselves, so it won't hurt as much when it happens on the outside. It kind of, the dynamic is a little bit similar to internalized oppression. If you've studied that or know a little bit about that, where you feel bad about who you are based on your race, your class, the way you look, your sexuality, all kinds of things. People will internalize and actually have that same negative belief about other people, out of fear that there's something wrong with them. So the main problem with this relationship with the inner critic is the stagnation, that it just kind of, I called it a one-trick pony before, that the inner critic will tell you the same thing over and over and put you down for the same exact reason for years, for decades. And usually myself, the one that we drew over on the side, is just kind of silent and retiring and hiding and doesn't talk back and doesn't defend itself. And so there isn't any relationship between the critic and myself. It's just a one-way, kind of an abusive relation, an internally abusive relationship. So if we can start identifying more as myself and recognize that the inner critic is an internalized voice that's not organically us, that's not our true natures, but it's this kind of zeitgeist of society, or this ghost of society that's kind of taken up a home in each of our heads. We can kind of start to tease it apart, maybe not take it as seriously, and update it, bring it into relationship, bring it into the present. It's almost like it's like hammering us to be our best selves, and hammering is like really ineffective. The meanness and the putting down. Ooh, what you got there, Carrie? Wow. What, can you show me that? What is that? What is that? Hold on, I gotta make you bigger. I'm gonna pin you. Ooh,
Pipe
pipe
cleaners.
cleaners. Yay! That is cool looking. Look at that cool thing. Does it have a hand on it? Was that it? 3 hands? Whoa, that is awesome. Did you make that ahead of time? You just did it right now? Wow, you're fast. Cool. That is awesome. Okay, let me go back to everybody. So once we have more relationship with the inner critic, when we realize that it's been masquerading as ourselves, but it's this other part that actually really wants the best for us, it's just been doing it in the weirdest way, or trying to protect us in the weirdest way, in the most awful, ineffective way, we can kind of redo the relationship. We can work with it instead of just staying stuck in this one way abusive interaction with it, where we're just kind of hiding and crouching in the corner while it does its barrage of insults, right? We can tell it how we like to be spoken to, just like we do with a friend or a family member or a partner, hopefully, just like we would do with them. Arnold Mindell, the founder of process work, says that 85% of human energy is spent in this silent battle with the inner critic. Can you imagine that? 85% of our energy is spent defending ourselves or crouching or hiding.
Yeah, crap.
That's a lot, isn't it? Yeah, crap.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, fuck that. Yeah. Isn't it so hard? Isn't it? Can you imagine? I often imagine, like, I think I told you guys before how I like see myself as like the slayer of the inner critic. But there's something about having this eagle-eye view because it's such a lonely feeling to not like yourself, to be like stuck with this kind of inner self-loathing. And then if you could just and it feels like it's to only us, right? Most of us are just like, feels like it's just me. Everybody else is fine. I think everybody else is great. Bless you, Jan. But just imagine that everybody's doing this. Like everybody. Isn't it awful? Isn't it a waste? Isn't it
Crap.
It's crap. Yes, Cindy, it's total crap. It is. Yeah. I want to show you guys this picture. I'm gonna screen share for a sec, and we're gonna get into this was some stuff that we're gonna be doing in Pleasure Boot Camp. But I just want to show you this because it's just so important. Share screen. So this is from Tarot. Can you see my screen? Yeah, okay, good. So the Tarot originally was made to study human behavior, to understand human psychology and human development. And these two cards are the Lovers and the Devil. And you probably can see right away the similarity between the two cards. So can you see my cursor where I'm pointing there? Great. So the man in the Lovers is to represent our ego or our self-consciousness, our will. And the woman represents subconsciousness, which is like our body and our dreaming selves, the underlying processes. And then up above, we have the archangel who represents superconsciousness. And in the Lover's card, this is right relationship. And basically what happens in right relationship is that self-consciousness, the man, looks to subconsciousness and basically sends her a message, what he wants. He's basically saying, this is what I want. Then subconsciousness, the woman, looks to the angel, looks up and tells the angel, this is what I want. This is what we want. And then the angel magically helps manifest what self-consciousness wants. And so it's this kind of really beautiful cycle, this beautiful triad relationship between self-consciousness, subconsciousness, and superconsciousness. And this is kind of the Garden of Eden, like the way things should go. And notice they don't have any fig leaves in the tarot. They don't have to hide, they're not in shame. So then we have the Devil card. And the Devil card is like, this is the inner critic. It's like subconscious or a superconsciousness turned on its head. So if you look at the Devil, he's got bat wings, goat horns, and chicken legs. He's like a ridiculous figure. He's also sitting on a half cube. That's supposed to be a half cube. So it's to represent Earth, I think, and it's incomplete. He's like sitting on something that's unstable. And then if you notice the chains, I don't know if you can see, but check out the chains around the man and woman's necks. What do you notice about the chains?
connected.
They're connected to each other, and they're connected to the thing that the devil's sitting on. What else? If that chain was around your neck,
It looks like you could take it off.
you could take it right off. Exactly. Those are loose chains. This is voluntary. So this is self-consciousness, subconsciousness. She's looking straight out of she's not connected to the heavens. She's just looking out there. And so this is like basically self-consciousness and subconsciousness not in right relationship. And so what we see as spirit gets turned upside down and distorted, and we have manifestations that are kind of basically not spiritual or not in our favor. Anyway, we'll get deeper into that in Pleasure Boot Camp, but I just this is my practice is to have this relationship be really clear that my self-consciousness is telling my subconsciousness what it wants, and my subconsciousness is getting it from superconsciousness. So when you get these three going back into right relationship, which we can do just by self-consciousness, the ego telling subconsciousness what it wants, then you have manifestation. You have trees and oranges and flowers and the mountain and the beautiful grass and the sun, instead of not knowing where you're going, not asking clearly for what you want, subconsciousness not knowing where to go. And, life looks like often, addictions or feeling lost, disorganization. So anyway, this is a big part of getting things going in the right direction. Let's say. Okay. So I really wanted today to be a party, and I feel like it's gotten kind of serious somehow. So I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happened. But
Can I talk?
yeah.
Because I want to show my guy. I want to show
Yes.
But
Show and
it's-
tell. Let's see.
So
Ooh.
he's made out of paper, and he has like
Oh
he's
my-
made out of shit, brown paper shit.
Shit.
He's got eyes that see all and like a mean face.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was fun.
And what does it say, Cindy? What is the main thing that it says?
It says, "Shut up, Amy, you're bad.
Shut up.
Everybody here is very bad. You've never done a single good thing in every minute of your life sucks.
Yeah. Shut up, you're bad. Nice.
Bad.
Awesome.
Now.
So poor thing, it's going to be killed. I actually like it so much, Cindy. I hope that you can keep it around for a little while. Don't kill
I
it.
can't kill it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
wait until I get a relationship with it.
Yes, let's see if the relationship can change. Once you actually make the thing, the relationship has a much better chance of changing.
Can I share mine?
Yes, yeah.
So I'm completely exhausted. I can barely keep my eyes open.
Yeah, me
I don't
too.
have any art supplies anymore. I live with 400 square feet. I'm like, it's not, so I'm not letting any critic tell me I'm not doing it right. I'm exhausted. So I
Great.
went into the bathroom, went in
Uh-huh.
the middle. Look what I found. That's like, this is my inner critic. You see it?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Whoa, Wendy. Whoa. What the heck is that?
It's a piece of pottery that my child had made for me. It's a treasure. But it is
Wow.
the inner, it is, can you see it? I don't know if you can see
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Perfect. Yes, I love it. I
It's-
love it. I love it. What is the main thing it says?
Oh, it says you're a fuck up, you've wasted your life, you're a mess, I hate you, you suck, you suck, I
You
hate
suck. I hate you.
you
Whoa.
are worthless, you
Whoa.
suck, you've wasted all the resources in your life, you've ruined all your relationships, you're lucky to be alive. And you're
Whoa.
gonna pay for this in karma for the rest of whatever. You got
Whoa.
you got your life, you got lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes to try to work this shit off, baby.
Oh my God.
You came in here to do big stuff and you have fucked it up so big time. You're lucky you're even here.
Wow. This is a strong critic.
Oh, well, yep, it's got a lot to say to me.
It has a
Oh,
lot to say. So I think this is a good segue into this one question that I want to have for everybody, which is thank you so much, Wendy. That's kind of amazing critic. So I want you guys to think about this. If your critic could have a special healing retreat, if you could send your critic on a really special, really nice, maybe a month-long healing retreat, what would be the perfect environment for it? Where would it go? What would be a really good rehab location for this critic? And I'm happy for people to bring their voices in and share. Oh my gosh, my critic is like, it's getting so late, you're an hour behind.
How about a hot spring because it needs to chill the fuck out.
Nice. Hot spring is great. Yes, hot spring, chill the fuck out. Your thing, it looks hot by itself. It's all that red. It's so cool. What is the main
Well-
thing yours says, Carrie?
What?
What is the main thing your critic says?
You're wasting time, procrastinating. You're too old and it's too late and you're not good enough. You're not worthy. All those things. But the main thing is you're wasting time.
Mm. You're wasting time, right? So yeah, a visit to the hot springs, it might be able to learn that it's not such a bad thing just to kick it sometimes. It's an interesting choice, right? For the critic. Like yeah, it needs to go learn about ease.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Great.
I just had like a kind of an insight because I was also going to make like my inside child who's very mad and that the critic kept down.
Right?
Thought, well, maybe the critics, like part of the child. I mean, and so he's really mad too. And
Mhm.
so obviously he's mad. So he needs to go somewhere where he can break things and then lay on the beach. Breaking
Ah,
glass and then lay on the beach or take a swim in the ocean and
great.
then break some more glass. It's a therapeutic place like that for
Nice.
inner
Totally.
critic.
Oh yeah, you could definitely send your critic to break some glass and then sit on the beach. Let's see what Gary's saying here in the chat. Send mine back in time to the really pleasant times in my childhood. Interesting. To like show it. Do you want to say more about that, Gary?
Yeah, a lot of I feel like a large chunk of my childhood, I was quite innocent and validated, and I still had puppy paws with no calluses on them. And
Mm,
I would love to send that critic back to re-experience some of those times before the bruises. That'd be
mm.
nice. Yeah. There's other times in my life that have been particularly wonderful, and going back and reliving those, especially good job or especially good times with people is really reassuring and validating. A good solid month of that would be really good for my critic.
Beautiful. Just to witness the good
Yeah.
days, the
Right.
beautiful times. Nice. Great. And then who said, Molly said a silent retreat. Yeah, get it to shut up for a month. Yeah, I sent mine to a monastery. I thought that was a pretty good place to go. Like, go learn to meditate and pray. So one thing that I would encourage you guys to do is create a little environment, not right now while we're talking, unless you feel like it, but create a little environment that represents this healing place for your critic to go. So if it's like on a beach, you might put a little shell next to it or some sand. You know, you could draw a picture of water. If it's the hot springs, Gary, you might have like a picture from your childhood from the good old days that you put the little critic sculpture next to. But I really believe that doing these little craft projects can be actually like huge for our psychology, especially if you keep these things in a place where you're going to see them regularly. So I would say, like, don't just like hide it in a corner or put it away in a drawer, like actually leave it out somewhere where you're going to be able to see it. Okay. Okay, so now I think that we need to have, well, here, wait, does everybody have their critic made? And has kind of, have you guys given your critics names? Not really. So it'll come with time. So don't worry about that. Maybe we'll do that at part 2. But let's have, whose critic would like to fight? Whose critic wants to have a little brawl? Who's laughing? Is that Carrie? Do you want to bring yours out? Let's have a couple of them go at each other. We can do a few of them. I think we can bring a few out. So, okay, we got one. Who wants to go against Carrie's critic?
Like, I got lots of hands.
All right. Come on, who can do it? We can bring 2. We'll bring 2 more out. Anyone? Nobody?
Mr. Ugly.
Mr. Ugly? You
Yeah.
want to come in, Cindy? Is that you?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So whatever they tend to say, have them say it to each other.
Oh.
Okay. It'd be nice if we could, where am I? Where's Carrie? Oh, right next to me. Ha ha. Yeah. Well, you wrecked everyone's life that you ever knew.
Oh my gosh.
I win.
You're so old. I can't do anything.
I'm gonna bring it.
I'm gonna slob all over you there.
You're both squandering your potentials. You guys can't. You're shitty little critics. What kind of critics are you? I know you could be better critics than that.
Shut Now, what were you saying? Squandering potential.
Yes. What kind of critic are you?
That's like some kind of middle class thing. This is where you're supposed to die.
I'm never gonna die.
You worthless piece of shit.
Ah.
I'm not good at this game.
It's hard, isn't it? It's hard. Okay, who else wants to come in? Let's see some of your critics. Let's bring them in. Even if it's just your hand, it doesn't have to be your fully formed critic thing. Wendy, how about yours? You had a super mean one.
I'm a little tired, so let's see if it's going to come out. I'm a little tired.
Okay.
Okay. You shut the fuck up. What the fuck is fucking wrong with you, you fucking idiot? Fucking shit together, or I'm gonna fucking kill you. You fuck up. You fuck up. You're a fuck up. You fucking idiot.
Wow. Well, what's
Wow. Pull
about
it together,
you?
put a fucking smile on your face, get your fucking clothes on and smile and get your shit together. You are better than everyone. So suck it fucking up.
Wow. Did you just say you're better
That's
than
not
everyone?
very nice.
That's what it
We're all
says.
knocked
You've
out.
got the potential to be at the top and you're a fucking loser.
Oh, you've got the same as me. Yeah, squandering the potential, squandering the potential. Yeah, but wow, you're a real mean one, aren't you? Whoa.
Oh my gosh.
That one is so scary.
I go, come, I'll take you on. Come here at me. I'll take you all fucking on.
Whoa.
On.
Whoa. Hey, I want to ask you a question, mean critic.
Imagine if I had my energy.
I know, exactly. It's really powerful, Wendy. So, question. What would you do if you could do anything?
I don't know.
The critic? What's important to you, critic?
So what would I do? Like, I mean, really honestly, like what would I do? Like what are you asking? I gotta know what you're asking.
Well, this critic is so freaking powerful. It
Yeah.
seems like it really wants to do something. And it's like yelling at everybody for not doing enough.
Mhm.
And but like
So
like
what would it do?
yeah, like if it could do anything, I just feel like this is some energy to get harnessed and used. Yeah.
You came here to do great things. You know it, and you're not doing it.
What great things.
You came here, you had major Kundalini awakenings. You were supposed to be starting your own business. You were supposed to be a healer. You were supposed to do food things. You were supposed to write a book. You were supposed to
Oh, you want to do big things and write a book.
and do all
Sure.
kinds. Yeah. And you ended up you got a business degree, you graduated top, you busted your ass to graduate top of your class, and you did
Wait a minute,
did not
Wendy.
do what you were supposed to do.
Let's talk from the perspective of the actual critic. Let it talk in the I and let it be proud of itself. It sounds like it's done a lot.
No,
No?
Well, it's been really, really mean to you. It did a great job of that.
It didn't squander its critic potential. No way.
you rescued your child out of the water in Mexico from the jaws of a crocodile. That was pretty fucking good.
What?
And then what happened?
For
You had
real?
a Kundalini awakening, you did all this, but then, and nobody knew what was going. Everyone said it was the most powerful one they've ever seen, and you managed to do that with a husband that didn't believe anything was going on, and you were channeling, you were doing all kinds of stuff. You had no idea what was going on, but you figured it out, and then you just blew it all. All that work from nothing.
Okay. I'm coming in here, critic. Where the fuck were you when she was blowing it all? What were you doing? How were you helping?
We were trying to encourage her to get moving, and she just was so scared.
Well,
She was
what were
so
you
scared.
doing? What were you doing?
Her to get moving.
Get moving? She was
Tell
rescuing children from the mouths of alligator crocodiles.
She was supposed to overcome her fears, and she didn't do it. She did not do it.
Why do you think she's so afraid?
She left her marriage, she left all of that, and then what? Didn't do anything.
Why do you think she's so afraid?
It's pretty scary doing all of that. It's pretty scary
It is pretty scary.
to do that. That was what she came this lifetime to do. But she didn't do it.
Well, I got a guess over here is that you're such a mean critic that you might have kept her from doing those things.
I don't think so.
No, I'm gonna call bullshit, like somebody said before. I'm calling bullshit, and I'm gonna say you could help her. Why don't you help her?
I've been trying to, but she won't listen.
I don't think you've been trying to. I heard how mean you were. I heard it. Doesn't sound like help. Sounds like hurt.
But that's what she deserves for being such a mess.
What do you deserve?
So she deserves to be punished for being so bad.
Okay,
Keep-
so I think that this is a critic that needs to be murdered. I mean, I know that that's like a precious little thing, but like, I know you can't kill that one. I know, don't kill your beautiful,
Yeah,
precious little thing.
yeah.
But this critic is like so strong. I think that this is
Mhm.
one of those cases where like the critic needs
Okay, it needs to get burned. I need
something,
to
you
burn it.
know? Who would you
Mhm.
be without it, Wendy? Who would you be without it?
I think I would be content with being the person that I now am, which is not any of those things that I've had to work really hard to get to where I am, which is an instructional aide in a kindergarten. I had to work hard to get here, actually. I had to learn, actually, this is going to sound weird, but I actually had to learn how I've been taken care of in most, like, somehow, um, I can't, so I've had, I'm just learning to live independently without a man. Actually, I grew up in a very traditional family. That was the value that was held. Then I had a very successful husband, and and then when my marriage fell apart, I just did not know. I had no skills, really,
Yeah.
to be on my own. I didn't know what to do. I really didn't. It's crazy, but I did not. So I'm just learning that right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And so learning to accept who I am right now and I'm grateful for the life that I have, and just having to let go of any thought that there was supposed to be like that there was any other. This is good enough right now.
Good.
It's good enough.
Yeah. Keep that inner critic near you where you can see it, and let the voice be outside of you instead of inside of you. Let it still say the things that it says, but catch it. When you hear that voice, catch it and assign it to that critic that's outside of you, not inside of you. Do it for a little while. And
Okay.
also, I want to say to everybody, we're getting to time, but I want to say to everybody that usually there's a missing figure. There's like a missing protector, and it develops inside of us. And we tend to shine and shower that missing figure on everybody around us. The thing that we needed for ourselves, we can overdo it. We can save other people from the mouths of the crocodile. We can bring other people food and love other people and do all these things for other people. But all of that stuff that kind of constellates in response to the inner critic is the missing figure, and that's what we need for ourselves. And so by getting in touch with myself instead of identifying so much with I, really helps with kind of that that missing figure. We can become that missing figure. We can start to identify with the missing figure inside ourselves, of the nurturer, the one who cares about myself, instead of just always being mean to myself. When we turn our view and our vision to being curious about myself and how we could help myself. So, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, this could go on and on. And
Thank you.
sorry, what?
I was just saying thank you. That's so helpful. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. The main thing is just get it out of your head. Start to talk to it, yell at it, let yourself be myself, stand for myself, protect myself, And
Wow.
when you hear yourself, when you hear those voices, just look at the thing. Just seeing it. Just look at it and just see it as something outside of yourself that you have taken inside and confused with yourself, confused with that's me, right? It's not me. I am myself. I am the innocent one. We are all angels. I've never met a person who I didn't think was an angel. I've never met a person who was not a spiritual being, who is not a beautiful soul when you spend enough time with them. Each one of us. Every time. And we can all see it in everybody else but ourselves. So I'm sorry we didn't get to do everything. I was really excited about my AC/DC playlist, but it got kind of serious around here somehow. But Anyway, like I said, I'm not charging for this at all. I don't want any money for this. But we are right now trying to save our school. So if you're the kind of person who has some money sitting around and you wanted to make a donation, I'm going to put in the fundraiser for Process Work Institute. No pressure at all, but just if you want, we'd like to give people opportunities if they want to. So it's processwork.edu/fundraiser. And yeah, we're like, the school's on its last legs, basically.
Oh, no. That's so
Yeah, it's really difficult. But, you know, things will happen, things will evolve. And then I also wanted to tell you about Pleasure Boot Camp, which is some of the people who are here tonight will be in Pleasure Boot Camp. And of course, I'd love you all to be there. And the reason I wanted to do this Inner Critic workshop is that it's very difficult to attune to pleasure when you've got a critic on you all the time. When the critic is always criticizing you, you know, it's very difficult to be open to receiving pleasure, to exploring pleasure. You just start to do it, like maybe touch your face, and suddenly you're questioning, like, who's watching me, and should I be doing this, and what's wrong with me, and the whole shame thing can kind of like tumble down on us. So by externalizing the inner critic, it makes a lot more space for pleasure. So I have this promo code that I'll put here for $50 off. That's what most people have gotten, is $50 off, and the cost is $200, so it brings it down to $150. I think that's true. Yeah. And it's going to be for the whole month of February, and we'll be doing the first. I'm just going to tell you about it. Is it okay if you listen for a minute about Pleasure Boot Camp? Are you okay? Okay, so the first week is going to be air, and we're going to work with breath and using breath as an ally, and sensing the body as space. So we're more spacious. You know, this critic thing gets us really dense, weighs us down, and we get so heavy, you know, in our bodies, our minds, our spirits. It's just like dragging around a big bag of coal or rocks or whatever. So if we can identify more as space and spaciousness, we have a lot more freedom. And there's some hacks to that. And so we're going to work on kind of like retraining our thoughts and our beliefs, and feeling the body as air, experiencing the body as space. And the second week, we're going to move on to food, which maybe some of you have seen my video about food, but I've completely transformed my relationship to food. And I can't even tell you the amount of pleasure I get now from eating. And yeah, every meal is a ritual for me now. Every meal. I don't let it slide. I only eat with reverence and pleasure. And it's really changed my whole life. The third week we'll be working, and the whole time we'll be working on our bodies, because that's the main, you know, that's our home. So we like that, and that's how we experience pleasure. So every week is going to be body, body, body. The third week is going to be water. We're going to be working with our emotions and with movement, and kind of getting with movement, and feeling more free in our bodies, movement wise. And the last week we'll be working with spirit and creativity, and freeing ourselves up there as much as we can, and experiencing as much pleasure as we can there. Oh yeah, so Wendy, thank you for that suggestion. Exactly. You don't have to donate, but you could share it. Exactly. Yeah. And we have meetings every day, actually, at 3:33. It's a 33-minute meeting at 3:33. We're asking people if they could donate $33 a month for 3 months. And we figured if we can get 33 people to get 33 people to do that, we could save the school. So anyway, I've only gotten one person, and they happen to be here tonight. I'm not going to say who it was, but I just really appreciate that person who did that. And yeah. It's difficult. It's difficult to ask people for money, but there's a way to find pleasure in it. There's got to be a way to find pleasure in it, and I will meditate on that, and hopefully tomorrow I will find pleasure in asking people for money. All right, it's 7. Does anybody have any final thing that they'd like to say? I feel like I was okay. You are so disorganized, but I love you anyway.
Amy, how do we sign up for the pleasure boot camp? Does it
Oh.
say on that thing that,
See this? I put this this link, and it'll give you $50 off if you just use that link right there. Eventbrite.com, take 50.
I don't see anything.
I'll text it to you. It's in the chat. I'll just text it to Cindy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, and that link is good for like a couple of days. I should tell you when the expiration, and you can share that with other people if you think other people would be interested. It's not just for you. I'm really hoping to fill the boot camp, and yeah, yeah. I want you all to be there and more. But there's only 23 spots because that's my favorite number. So that's why I made the 23 spots. So yeah, if you happen to know, I think we have 7 or 8 signed up now. So, but my dream is that it's going to be filled. It starts a week from today. It's the same exact time from 5:30 to 7 for the whole month of February. And we'll be eating together during the food week. We'll be doing a pleasure walk during the movement week. We'll be doing breath work during the breath week. And that's all separate from the actual class. We're going to meet on Thursdays for just a half an hour to kind of integrate the lesson from the Wednesday meetings. All right. Well, yeah, let's
Amy,
bring our critics out and say goodbye. Growl and grumble,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye, bye, bitches. See you on the other side.
That'll never
you,
work.
Amy.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Amy.
You are welcome. Very welcome.
Thank
Okay,
you. Thank you,
bye,
Amy.
everybody. Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Amy. Super helpful. And you were so
Thanks.
helpful.
Thanks,
Really.
Wendy. Good, good. I can stay on if anybody wants to talk at all, if anybody has
I'm
anything
gonna
they want
head
to say
out.
or ask.
Love to you. Thank you so
Okay.
much.